Right, we're back, season three. Here with us. I am Ebony Habanero,
And my name is Ufuoma and
and we have with us Yosola Odunuga. She is a senior at Duke University of Michigan. Her major is biology, pre-med. Of course, she's smarter than all of us on this podcast, which I love. And we're going to dive right in. We're going to talk about college students navigating their senior year. Yosola, can you please introduce yourself for us?
Of course. So, as you guys already know, my name is Yosola Odunuga. I am a senior at the University of Michigan. I am pre-med and I'm possibly considering doing something in public health. I plan to become an OBGYN and work in underserved communities.
Wow.
Nice.
Dang.
I know.
Brains in, she likes the community. I love it. Love it, love it, love it. So we're gonna get started. Just dive right in. Is there a different pressure or stress for your senior year in comparison to when you first started? I know you have a unique story because you started at a different school. So is there a different pressure? Do you feel a different stress?
Mm, I actually feel like I'm unique in this case where the pressures are about the same. It hasn't gotten worse as I've progressed through my undergrad career because the coursework that I'm taking has always been incredibly demanding. And
Mm,
the MCAT has always been looming like at the back of my mind, like just like constantly there. And at first, I used to comfort myself thinking, oh, it's in the near future. Like, it's okay. I don't have to focus on it now. And now it's a little bit closer. So I'm a little bit more stressed, but my coursework is a little bit lighter this semester. So I feel like, honestly, pressures are kind of the same, but now I'm a little bit more relieved because I have more mentors who can help me.
so to follow up with that, do you feel like is there outside pressure because of the career choice that you made, or is it um self-induced, like, or is it both? It could be both. I don't know.
Mm. I feel like it definitely is both. Sometimes I'm a little bit hard on myself because I feel like where I am right now, I'm expected to be.
Hmm.
So I don't really like talk to my parents about any of my stresses because I feel like they wouldn't understand or they just tell me like, well, you chose this, but kind of in part it's like based off of what they told me that like the career options I had, either engineer, doctor, lawyer. And I I feel like that pressure has kind of become like my own subconscious. Like I start to reinforce it within myself. And
Hmm.
also other things happening, like with the election, I was gonna apply to some federal jobs and now they're not hiring anymore. So that pressure has kind of gotten a little bit worse because now things are just looking really bleak. Like DEI is going
Hmm.
and the US exited WHO. So it's like, well, am I even needed anymore in the spaces that I wanted to go into? Will they first see my like see just my skin color before seeing my skills? So I think that that has definitely made me a little bit more nervous.
Mm. Wow. Huh. That's a lot.
Yeah.
I don't know. You feel me? Do you feel like you had those? I feel like I had those stresses, but I didn't think about the
Mhm.
government piece at all. Like it was just freedom.
Yeah.
Just want to be free.
Yeah.
Huh. That's so interesting.
I don't think I thought even outside of like admission stress, like, making sure I had the right test or paperwork or, social stress as far as like, what's going to be social life like, in college. But I think that's a different tier that you're speaking of that, I have to tip my hat to anyone that's in that same shoe with you. It's a lot.
Yeah, that is a lot. But you're managing it. You look great. You look amazing. So
Yeah.
I think I think you're figuring it out, which is awesome because we need doctors.
Hmm.
Um, eh, who needs doctors? We need those people. So
Yeah.
I I I love this conversation because it makes you look at a different group of people differently and give grace to some people because they put on a stress for themselves because that's the career that they wanted to take. And if we didn't have doctors, then what? You know what I mean? So that's
Yeah.
awesome that that you have chosen something that requires so much of you.
And speaking of that, like being able to identify and name those stresses, my question for you would be, have you noticed any changes in your mental health since freshman year? And how have you adapted to them over time?
I definitely feel like it's gotten better. Before, I used to be guilty of bottling a lot of things up. I didn't have the proper people to talk to.
Mhm.
So it used to just bottle up, and I used to notice it taking like a physical toll. I'd always be tired, my muscles would always be tense. But last year, I decided to actually go to a counselor at my school and just kind of talk to her about a lot of things. And she really did read me because she told me all things about myself I didn't even know just based off of small
Wow.
things I said. And it was so helpful. It helped me identify so many areas in my life where I have been like a really big perfectionist. So I feel like it's better to not start than to start and fail. And she
Mhm.
told me that no, you're still young. It's okay to start and fail because you can get back up again and then keep going, you know? And that really did help me. And I feel like it gave me more confidence to move forward. And it definitely got rid of a lot of my imposter syndrome because sometimes in my classes, I feel like people will look at me and be like, oh, she's only here because of affirmative action and this, and that. And she told me no. She said, it's okay to take up space because you wouldn't be in that space unless you were intended to be in that space. And
Mhm.
that really did help me a lot because it it made me realize I need to be kinder to myself. That if someone else who didn't know me before that day can tell me that, then why should I not feel the same way?
Mhm.
Yeah.
That is true.
Good
Being
for
able to
you
pull
for
that
going
out.
to get help. Yeah. And getting help, right? But I do think your generation has done a better job of embracing the fact that we need to manage our mental health. Like, I know my generation and maybe yours, Euphoma, you know, it was starting to be something that people encourage. And I feel like encourage is a very strong word. I think people were just being okay with it. And now people are encouraging it and they're actually doing it. So that's off to you to seeking the help that you needed. So we've talked about stressors and pressures. How do you balance though? Like, how do you have fun? How do you balance the fact that yes, the MCAT has been there for, however long you've been in school, but how do you balance your responsibilities with your social life and all those things and being a part of your family at home? How do you balance all of that?
I feel like I'm still trying to find that balance, but I've been implementing small things. Like, for example, I don't do any schoolwork on the weekends. I don't go to work on the weekends. The weekends are just for me to relax.
Nice.
And honestly, writing down the tasks I need to do and putting it in a calendar and time blocking has definitely helped me a lot because it helps me block out, okay, this time is strictly for school, this time is strictly for me, this time is strictly for hanging out with my friends. And I think one thing I've been doing better this semester is actually having people come over to my place, whether it's clean or messy, and just having
Hmm.
them and just talk and really just get together because I feel like a lot of us are in the same boat. We're all students, we're all still trying to manage. And them being over really reminds me that if I always make school my life, I'll never grow. And talking to them makes me feel like lighter, and relating to them on some things and also going out to more club meetings. Going out by myself has helped a lot. That's something I used to be really scared to do because I'm a big introvert, but really putting myself out there more has helped me. Like going to places by myself, for example, some club meetings where it's like with other Black pre-meds, I just go, I talk to one person, and even if I leave feeling awkward or this or that, I kind of give myself a pat on the back because it's making me explain it. It's making me um learn that other people are like kind of like in my shoes
Mhm.
and that they are still figuring out that balance and I can get advice from them and they can give advice to me and stuff like that. And that really does help me. I talked to a medical school student who told me that um one thing she does to kind of manage that stress is she just sits and she looks out the window for at least 30 minutes. She doesn't play any music. She doesn't think. And then it's like it gives her whole body just, it's like she feels the stress melting away.
Mm.
And
Mm,
I feel like that's something I've tried to implement for sure.
that's
No,
good. That's good.
we all
Honestly,
have
because
different way. No, I'm saying we all have different
exactly.
way we balance, our social life and,
Right.
academic.
And we're that the whole point of this is to encourage others to find different ways to do that, you know? So
Yeah.
cool. That's cool.
I actually try what you do, where it's no work on the weekend, especially on Sundays. I do not open my laptop or do anything work related. You know, I know you're talking more from a school perspective, but that itself, just being consistent
Hmm.
about that, like makes a big difference. For me, at least in my life, I can be more intentional as a mother, as a wife, just as me. And if I just wanted to sit there and look out the window or stare at the TV and not care, like, that's a plus for me. So I welcome that. I think that's great. And even blocking those times where it's like, okay, I'm gonna do this for this. It sounds little, but it's a really big thing. Once you look
Hmm.
back and think about it. And so as speaking about that though, like how are you dealing with burnout? And like as you're approaching graduation and being exhausted, like how do you deal with that, or how do you balance through that? Um, with the end with the end coming,
Uh,
soon.
I definitely try to remind myself that where I am now isn't the end goal and
Mm,
that there's no point in me giving up now because then it's like all the people I wanted to help, all the people who kind of expect things from me. I don't want to disappoint them and I also don't want to disappoint myself. And also my faith has helped a lot with that. I feel like remembering that the work I'm doing isn't just for me, but it's also to help advance the kingdom of God does give me a lot of motivation to keep going.
yes.
So I try to remind myself that whenever I want to give up or I just don't want to go to class or I don't want to go to work, first off, I remember how much school is and then I get up.
Hmm.
But
Hmm.
I also remember that God is rooting for me and that I have to keep going. And that really does give me the power to continue to push through.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
That is really good. Um, it's so funny that you said that because I think about myself and years ago. Um, I finally found uh church like my senior year, and it was like the perfect timing. Like I don't know if I would have found it my freshman year had it been as helpful, but definitely finding that church my senior year was the push that I needed to not to succumb to burnout or to walk away after you've spent 3.5 years, trying to get that piece of paper. But so yeah, that's cool. That's cool. I can um completely identify with that. So awesome, awesome. Okay. So we know you have a strategy because you're pre-med, but life after graduation. If you want to talk about life after this graduation or the next graduation, um, how are you feeling approaching that? Like, I know the last question was kind of about burnout, but we want to talk about maybe the happier side. Like,
Mhm.
how are you feeling going into life after graduation? And what are your thoughts behind it?
Mhm.
I think sometimes it can be nerve-wracking because I think about bills, I have to get a job, and I have to do this to prepare.
Yeah.
But I just remind myself that I have a really nice community who is always there to support me. And
Hmm.
I think the fact that I'm going to be living at home does give me some comfort because I don't have to pay bills immediately. And it really does also give me the option to explore what else I want to do after graduation. Like if I want to go back, get a master's in public health, if I want to travel, if I want to do an internship. And knowing that I have other physicians who have given me options to come work with them for a bit or even come intern or shadow or this or that, it really has helped me because it's made me realize that even if I can't find a job in another sector, I always have something else to fall back on. So that makes
Hmm.
me have some peace.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's good. Looking at the options is a great perspective because I think sometimes people can look at options and get overwhelmed because there's too many, but there's a blessing in knowing that you have options and you have things, different directions you can go into, and it is a positive thing, not not a negative thing. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Options are great. And speaking of options, I know earlier you mentioned that you were able to seek out counseling and finding support that way.
I definitely have. I feel like from my counselors, yes, because they remind me that even though that stress may come, that I'm equipped to deal with it.
Hmm.
And like the counselor I talked earlier, she kind of told me that I'm still young, so I have all the space to make mistakes. And when I'm talking with my peers, I kind of do get some support from them because they tell me about options for like clinical opportunities that I didn't know about or research opportunities. I haven't really had some support from some of my professors. I've had support through an organization at my school that kind of tries to put us in contact with business professionals. So I was able to talk to a doctor who was once in my shoes, like 20 something years ago, and now he works at a medical school as like an admissions counselor. And he told me that whenever I have any questions or I need any help with anything, that he'd help me.
Hmm.
And he put me in contact with one of his coworkers actually, who does research in a field I'm interested in. So that was amazing for me because um, I got to talk to her for a little bit, and she kind of encouraged me like what classes to take,
Yeah.
um, what things to do to help further my my progress towards my degree, because I talked to her about how I was interested in public health, and she was telling me that it would help with medical school, that it won't distract me from it. And that's something I needed because all the advice I get sometimes is from TikTok, and I know that's not super informational.
Oh,
So
TikTok was gone for a couple minutes. So, oh,
Right.
let me ask this. Well, I'll start with this. I worked at the Career Center when I was in college. So I'm such an advocate of the Career Center. And I think a lot of people and a lot of colleges, no offense, college people listening to us, um, they do not publicize that service.
Mm.
So I want to ask you, is one, are they doing what they're supposed to do at the University of Michigan? Is the Career Center alive and well? Do people go there? Post-graduation advice? If so, do you find that to be another kind of, I don't want to say support, but maybe a tool in your graduation tool belt, the Career Center. Have you been there?
yeah, I think it is alive and well on this campus because
Mhm.
I know the University of Michigan is really big for its big network and how
Mm,
lot of the alum work in so many diverse fields. So I think a lot of students know through emails, through posters, through their professors, even telling them that if the career center is the best way to get an internship, a job, a research opportunity. So I feel like a lot of students do definitely go to that. And also one thing that they did that got them on my radar was having free headshots. And
oh, wow.
I need
Really?
that.
I
it was
didn't have that when I was growing up.
Me too.
Goodness.
So they do like free headshots, and that was really amazing because that helped me when I was applying for an internship. When they said they needed a headshot, I was like, what? I have to pay someone to do my headshot. And then I saw an email from them, and that really did help. I want
Yeah.
people to go to the career center because I feel like it's something that's so useful that a lot of people think isn't useful.
Hmm.
Yeah, like the headshots, they help you with your resume, they help you
Yeah.
with essays, and that's just amazing.
Yeah.
So I can sit here and talk about all the stuff because okay, so I was in charge of entering the jobs that would come through, and there would be some really, really cool jobs. Like one job that came through there was professors at our school and different schools around us would want to hire students because we had a big education program at Texas State University, San Marcos, and so they would want to hire education majors and they would travel with them, like they would go to like Europe for the summer. So like
Mm.
different jobs like that. Like there's so many cool things at the Career Center. So if you are listening and Usola has already said it, University of Michigan they offer free headshots at their Career Center. You should go and visit them. I think it is a great tool. And it's a place where they even have counselors there. And again, when I was there, they did interviews there on campus, so sometimes you didn't have to leave campus to at least get the first few rounds of interviews in. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I think it's a great place, and I'm glad that you have visited and that you
Yeah.
speak highly of yours.
Yeah. Very much needed. I wish I had that right now because
I
I
know,
could use
right?
a fresh headshot. So you mentioned that, TikTok was one place you found some support or help or information. I don't know, all that it comes with, the good and the bad. But for those that are listening who may use Heal With Us as a way of finding information, what strategies have helped you focus and stay motivated, as you're juggling through projects and looking for opportunities?
I think I think one thing that also helps me is that's not so popular is using ChatGPT for some things. Like if I'm like, I have this to do, I have that to do, can you like give me a plan on how to do this, how to organize it? It really does help me.
Mm.
Um,
Yeah.
and then time blocking does help me. Um,
So
for
for your little sister, what advice would you give them as far as like how to navigate through like what comes to your mind? Staying focused and motivated in school and just pushing through.
definitely not underestimating office hours, going to talk to your professors. Sometimes they talk about the coursework and then sometimes they just sit and chat with you. That definitely does help you because when you go to the office hours, the professor knows your face
Mhm.
and they're more likely to follow up with you about opportunities, about study tips, study strategies for their course. Another thing I think to stay motivated would be I think talking to people who are once in your shoes, like for me, talking to med students helps me because they give me some advice. And sometimes it makes me feel a little bit better knowing someone was once where I was, or even
Mhm.
that they went through more stressful things than I did, and they're in a good situation. But also, kind of like for my GPA, that's kind of unmotivated me because I'm always like, oh, I'm not going to get into a good med school with my GPA. But knowing people have gotten into med school with a worse GPA makes me feel a little bit better because I'm like, okay, I'm not so bad where I am right now. I can still get to where I need to be. I think that has helped me stay motivated.
Yeah. Yeah. Talking, making those connections for sure. It's essential.
Yeah. And it does help to know that somebody was once in your shoes going. Honestly, I feel like that little nugget right there is from now until you're 85,
Mhm.
that because, me being a mom before, sometimes, you get stressed out at the house and you might snap or you might do this. And when you actually have conversations with other people, you kind of figure out you're not crazy. You're just human. And it's kind of, you're going through the same thing that somebody else has. So it's good. And the only way that you get to that point is actually opening up your mouth and having conversations with other people. So great. That's good that you have found those ways. So, all the little sisters of Yosola, listen up.
Yeah.
I guess we're gonna wrap it up. But we have one pressing question to wrap this up. Do you plan on celebrating your accomplishments when you walk across that Michigan stage soon? Do you plan on celebrating? If so, can we know about it? Are we invited? I don't know. Just,
Of course, you'll be invited.
awesome.
I definitely think I do plan to celebrate it. At first, I didn't want to because I was like, there's still med school. Why even spend money?
Yeah.
But I think it's important to celebrate every single accomplishment you have. And undergrad, I feel like
Agree.
small feat. It is pretty difficult. And I think it would also be nice to, have a party with people celebrating me, all my
Yeah.
being there. I think that would really help, you know.
Hmm.
And I think sometimes remembering that, okay, if I do decide to go to med school, and it's good to have two celebrations, but also, you know, I feel like at first when I was thinking I didn't want to celebrate my accomplishments, it's because I thought this is what's expected of me. But then I realized that just because it's what's expected of me doesn't mean that I still didn't go above and beyond, because
Mhm.
I've changed my track so many times, and I felt like my freshman year I was so discouraged. I wanted to drop out. So I'm kind of doing this for freshman me to remind her, we got this far, we can get even further.
Yeah. Awesome. And from a mental health standpoint, Euphoma, tell us why we should celebrate every accomplishment.
Right. There's a lot of benefits in that for sure. Like you mentioned, it boosts that motivation and confidence, like, all this hard work paid off. But actually it actually reduces your stress too. When you think back that freshman self, when you think back at the beginning or what's to come, like it really improves your mood and reduce the stress that comes along with that. It gives you more positive and like more optimistic about the future. And there's nothing more powerful than fostering a sense of gratitude and appreciation. The effort and dedication that we put into everything we do, even if it's I finished my paper or I, you know, read all the books that all my professors require, all 500 books for each class. But really just gives a sense of gratitude and appreciation. That we need, and all that relates to, your mental health and really shifting that movement forward. But you got to celebrate it, even if it's just you yourself, you and your family, however, whatever skill you need to do that, you got to celebrate.
Yes. So all our college students, senior year celebrate. Okay? Healthy celebrations, but celebrate.
Celebrate.
Celebrate. Thank you so much, Yosola. We appreciate this time, getting to know you and getting to know a lot of what our college students, seniors are going through and how they're navigating. And I applaud you for pushing through and really knocking this out the park. So well done.
Yeah.
Thank
Well, as always, you can catch us on all the podcast platforms. Here with us. We're in season 3.